According to WalletHub's 2024 survey, 3 out of 10 people think a Valentine's Day gift is worth going into credit card debt for.
No.
That's crazy.
Gifts are not. No. Okay, we're going to talk about that today. Today we're talking about, is Valentine's Day worth it?
Let's talk about it.
Welcome to Net with Lizzy and Lissa, where we analyze hidden costs and empower you to make your own damn decisions in life. Each episode covers a different facet of life, and at the end of each episode, we each give our takes on whether we think something is net positive or net negative.
I'm Lizzy, a strategist and consultant with almost 20 years of experience in finance and investing.
And I'm Lissa, a personal finance expert and a certified financial planner. We're best friends who talk about money
And everything else.
Is Valentine's Day worth it?
First up, running the numbers on Valentine's Day.
In that same WalletHub survey that we mentioned earlier, they say that shoppers spend more than $25.8 billion for Valentine's Day, making it the third priciest holiday in the U.S. after Christmas and Halloween.
25 billion.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, y'all. So what exactly are people buying? 57% of people report planning to buy candy for Valentine's Day. No surprise there.
Yeah. After candy, 40% of people plan to buy greeting cards, and 39% of people plan to buy flowers.
All right, so some low-cost expenses. Other things people spend on to a lesser degree include an evening out, jewelry, clothing, and gift cards.
Ooh, I like jewelry. Here's a fun stat. For once, men's finances are affected more than women. Men spend almost twice as much as women on average for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Not at all.
But we know there's more to life than numbers and statistics, so let's talk about it. Is Valentine's Day worth it? Should you celebrate and spend money on this holiday?
All right, so we touched on the financial costs.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that varies. Mm-hmm. What are some of the other costs?
Emotional. I can only guess that people are willing to go into debt for Valentine's Day because it has something to do with the trade-off of the emotional side. Your partner being mad, upset.
Yeah, disappointed. It's going to cause a fight if you don't.
Or maybe not as extreme, just they won't feel as special. And it's, you care more about making them feel special than your own finances.
Isn't that interesting? And so I wonder how much of that, the way you framed it, the motivation is to avoid conflict or avoid hurting someone versus genuinely wanting to express love.
Yeah. You know what? I dropped the ball. There was a stat that I failed to include in our notes, but it had to do with the expectation. There was I can't tell you the actual stat, but there was a percentage of people who have expectations from their partner for a gift at a certain price level.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of this whole emotional experience. And so you're anticipating this day. You may be wondering what that other person's going to do. You're planning what you're going to do or get for them. And then the moment comes, you may be disappointed. There may be a mismatch, right? Like you went really big and they didn't. And so as always, when you have expectations, you're setting yourself up to either be disappointed or they just meet them. And so then you don't necessarily have that same joy that you might have.
We've talked about holidays and gift giving in other episodes, but in terms of Valentine's Day specifically, you seem to be the history buff. Do you know where this comes from?
Oh yeah. I dug into it.
Where does this holiday even come from?
Okay, so people may have heard of Saint Valentine or have heard it called Saint Valentine's Day. That's because it originated as a Christian feast honoring a martyr named Valentine. There are several different Saint Valentines throughout religious history. But the 8th century Galatian sacramentary recorded the celebration of the Feast of St. Valentine on February 14th. So that's the first time it was celebrated on that day. The day became associated with romantic love in the 14th and 15th centuries, when notions of courtly love flourished, apparently by association with the lovebirds of early spring. And then in 18th century England, it grew into an occasion for couples to express their love for each other by presenting flowers, candy, greeting cards, which became known as Valentine's.
Oh, so didn't originate in the U.S. as we tend to assume.
Right?
A lot of
The commercialism.
Yeah, commercializing things.
Yeah.
Obviously, the U.S. probably helped, like, bring it into that $25 billion industry.
Make it what it is today.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, so it actually had more of a history than I expected. And the association with love and that kind of celebration happened much earlier than I would have guessed.
Yeah. So, I guess what is your take on this holiday, like official holiday that's for love? Good thing, bad thing?
I guess kind of neutral. We've touched on our episode on holidays. To me, holidays mark an opportunity to make a day a little bit more magical or extra special relative to your normal day-to-day. That said, Valentine's Day is like pretty low on my list. I think I do subscribe to the idea that if you love someone or are in a relationship or something, that's something you should be expressing regularly. And, you know, a random predetermined day isn't extra meaningful to me.
Yeah.
So for me, historically, it has been something I acknowledge to some extent, but like nothing extravagant, like a small token,
Yeah.
a card and maybe a $20 gift or
Yeah.
candy or something. Nothing
Okay.
really major. And I don't expect that in
Yeah.
return. You know,
Yeah.
some acknowledgement is nice, some flowers.
Yeah. Interesting.
What about you?
I think my relationship has changed, as is the theme with a lot of our episodes. I think I bought into it a lot, maybe in my early 20s, like in my 20s, that if I had a partner, if I was dating someone, that I really wanted to feel special on that day, because the bar was that, oh, everyone else is feeling a little special on this day, so I want to feel a little special too. Over the years, that's changed, and I don't remember which Valentine's Day it was. There was one particular Valentine's Day where we live in Los Angeles. I was driving down, I think I had an appointment or something in the late afternoon. I was driving down La Cienega, and there were a couple restaurants like on both sides of me in Beverly Hills where there were lines out the door, and everyone was like paired up, coupled up. So it just felt like a factory. Like,
Yeah.
all right, we're going to get all these couples in, get you out. And like, ever since that, I remember like, I don't want to go out to dinner on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Have you ever been out to dinner on Valentine's Day?
I can't think of a specific time. I went to dinner and a movie on Valentine's Day one time, or on that weekend. It was when
Yeah.
I was in a long distance relationship, so I don't know if it was on the exact
not
day.
the day of.
Yeah.
On the day of, one time, years ago, this was not my current partner. Years ago, I was at an Italian restaurant. It was actually an Italian restaurant I really wanted to try. It was like a local one. And this dude took me there on Valentine's Day, which was very thoughtful because he knew I wanted to go there.
Yeah.
The problem was, this restaurant and many others, they do a set menu on special days like that because it helps them manage their kitchen better, right?
efficient,
It's
yeah.
efficient operationally. And so, unfortunately, I couldn't order like what I was interested in ordering from the main menu.
Sure.
And it was just like this fixed menu, set menu for whatever, $75 a head. Like, you couldn't, no modifications, no nothing.
Right.
And so,
Kind of defeated the purpose.
defeated the purpose of like trying out that restaurant. And I get why some places do it like that. It makes sense.
Yeah, it's a
But,
crazy night for
Yeah.
a restaurant.
yeah, because everyone's trying to go out. Everyone's trying to do that evening out
Yeah.
to make their person feel special. But yeah, that was over a decade ago. And I feel like ever since that and that time I was driving down
Yeah.
and seeing all these couples, I was like, yeah, I don't want to spend it going out. We could do something special a different night. Or that night, like, let's make it ourselves. Like, let's make dinner.
Right.
Let's do something where we don't have to deal with crowds.
Yeah, it's funny as I'm thinking about this. it's interesting how prescriptive it has become. And I can think back to gifts I've gotten that are like, you know, a teddy bear and candy or something, which is lovely. Yeah. But like, I don't really care to have that other than that it's Valentine's Day and that's what you do.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting thinking like, if anything, what would matter more to me or I'd appreciate more might be like a handwritten note or like a walk on the beach or something a little simpler. But there has become this interesting standard of what is expected and what you do. And I think, as the stats noted, this disproportionately affects men, for once. And I think that has shaped my view of the holiday. I don't know a single man who cares about Valentine's Day.
Who cares?
For like themselves, who likes it,
like
who it's important to them. I think they are, if they're doing anything at all, they're doing it begrudgingly. They're going along with it because that's what their partner expects.
I don't think any of them, I actually know some guys who like to make their partner feel special on that day. But I don't know if that's like trying to show up against other men to make sure.
that might be true. Every partner I've had or, you know, guy friend I've talked to, it's like a have to.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's just money to spend. And, you know, I've always heard the argument like, I'll do something every other day of the year. Why does this day matter?
But do you buy those flowers on those
other days?
Yeah. I also think it's interesting based on, like, if you are going to do something for your partner on Valentine's Day, how spread out is it from, like, their birthday? Because if your partner is also, like, this is also an interesting side note, but, like, if you're a dude or if you're whoever, right, and your partner is a woman and she's a mother, do you get her a gift for Mother's Day or do you only get your mom a gift on Mother's Day? And if you do get your wife a gift because she's a mother to your children, so you got Christmas if you celebrate Christmas, or if you celebrate any holiday at the end of the year, then you have Valentine's Day, then you have Mother's Day, and then where else in this year does birthday land? Is like you're giving gifts every few months.
Sure, yeah.
And so I can understand the sentiment if people are like, oh my God, not another holiday where I got to spend something. Granted, it could be something small.
Yeah. And I do think a lot of men, or maybe just people in general, feel like there's this standard to live up to that they don't always know what it is, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to do something, but I don't know if I'm going to hit the mark.
Yeah.
I might disappoint you. It's kind of, I think it feels like a lose-lose.
Yeah.
I'm spending money to start a fight.
Yeah.
No matter what, right? And
is that a pessimistic view, though? Because I feel like maybe I could see people being upset with what they receive, but like I would think most people just appreciate something.
I don't know. No? I think a lot of people have grand expectations, whether they even realize it or not, right? Like everyone wants to feel special. And as much as I am saying I don't really care about Valentine's Day, if someone I was with did something like over the top for me, I'd be like, oh, wow, that's lovely, right? You know, that's great. And so I think a lot of people secretly have, or unconsciously have that desire for something like really, you know, over the top, and then may not even realize that they're going to be disappointed with something small.
Which ties directly to the financial cost then, right? Because it can range. It can
Absolutely.
be a $10 box of chocolates or like $100 or more for going out to eat, jewelry,
right,
etc.
And I think it's just so random what people's standards are. And I'm saying this on behalf of women, but you know, it may vary gender-wise and, you know, across your sexuality, but I think especially if you're newly dating someone or, you know, or maybe you've been together for a really long time.
That's the interesting part.
There's all these dynamics of like, do I get them candy? Do I get them flowers? Do they expect jewelry? Right? There's like levels to this. And are they going to perceive it to be a reflection of how much I love them?
Yeah.
It's challenging, right? Like I think it's a lot to navigate without actually realizing it's a lot to navigate.
All right. How long do you have to be dating someone to kind of expect that they do something for you on Valentine's Day?
See, that's so hard. And that's one of the costs. It's not just the emotional cost, it's like an actual relationship social cost of if you make the wrong move, it can have a real impact on your relationship. I don't know. I don't know that it's a time answer.
There's no rule of thumb.
Yeah, I think if you're exclusive, you should definitely do something.
Do a thing. Acknowledge the day.
Acknowledge the day in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, that's tough. I don't know. Some kind of gesture, but that's very telling, right? Like if one of you wants to make a gesture
and the other doesn't.
And the other doesn't, even if it's just like a card or, you know, and the other doesn't, it's like, oh, okay, I thought we were there and we're not. Tricky, right?
Now that I'm thinking about this, Valentine's Day has been interesting in the past because I've had those thoughts.
Yeah.
Because there were times I started dating someone in October, and then sometimes we started dating in January. And I don't know that I ever expected something, but I would think if that'd be really nice if they did something for me or ask me ahead of time, like what I wanted to do that day, then I would know that we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Or do I just go make plans with my girls and have a Galentine's Day because nothing's going to happen?
Right. But have you ever been dating someone that you're like, I hope they don't want to do something? Like, I hope we don't get there. Because I feel like the dynamic is often that the ball's in the dude's court to put themselves out there, which I don't like that dynamic.
Yeah. Not that I can think of, because I feel like if I felt like that about a person, I wouldn't be dating them no more. Right?
But I think some people date someone like that. They're like a placeholder, you know? Like it's casual, it's fun.
Nice to have someone around.
Yeah.
And you like them for certain things, but not to the degree that you want to spend that particular holiday with them.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think for men, they're afraid to lead someone on.
Didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Like, okay,
if
maybe
I get you a thing.
If I get you a thing, are you going to think I'm in love with you?
You're going to call me your man. You're going to
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they might want to go that route, might not, but either way, they might not be ready. It's like a forcing function almost.
Landmines everywhere, I think, for men. It's a lot to navigate.
I didn't even think about that. Those are costs in itself to celebrate this day. There's costs. Sure. It's tricky because there's costs either way. Like you said, there's costs to celebrating it and celebrating it the wrong way and doing the wrong thing. And there's costs to not celebrating it. You could lose your F buddy by making the wrong move.
For sure. Yeah. And so I think that's why for a lot of people it's a source of frustration or it's silly because it's a trivial day. Yeah. But undoubtedly others look to it for answers. Yeah. Right? Like a where do we stand? And it's like a ranking function based on how you treat someone. And that just kind of seems silly.
Yeah. All right. I have a side. Is this a complaint or just, I don't even know if this is a cost, but how do you feel about people who post on social media, like on Instagram, to show and I guess brag about all the things their partner did for them or got them for Valentine's Day?
That doesn't bother me at all. I'm sure, great, lovely for you. I don't know. I don't have any feelings about it really.
Okay, cool. Me neither. I would say maybe in the past I did when I was younger. Not that it would make me, sometimes it would make me feel like, dang, I wish I had that.
Sure.
Right? But I don't think I ever thought of the person as like, damn, why you bragging? Why you braggadocious about this? Yeah, I think otherwise I wouldn't be following you or I wouldn't be friends with you on social media.
Yeah, I don't tend to skew that way in general when I perceive stuff. Yeah. There's probably been times when I was single and like lonely and like, damn.
Yeah.
But I can't remember anything specifically.
Which is crazy. This is a thing I have that I have worked through in therapy of like, I overthink to not want to do that to others. So like that's why I won't post like, oh, Alan got me this and did this for me.
Because you don't want to make anyone
I don't
feel
wanna,
bad.
Yeah, but it's just silly to even overthink that because it's just about sharing. Like if you want to share. I don't know why I'm like that.
Interesting. Well, I know why you're like that.
What?
Back in the day, people used to hate on you when you were doing well. We had friends who would always hate on you.
True. That's true. The second I started making more than one of our ex friends, she was mad, and
she
you're
had
right.
to let you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Past traumas, I gotta
traumas,
heal.
girl. All right. So, do you have any notable Valentine's days, good or bad?
Yes.
That was a loaded question.
I was about to say
I'm leading you.
I was about to say my initial answer was going to be no. I've not had notable Valentine's days. I've had nice ones where we did a nice thing, but I can't even remember them because they don't stand out to me as like a special day. But I have the opposite. I had a breakup happen on Valentine's Day.
I was with you.
Yeah. Well, I think I called you crying in the morning because that's when it happened. And then what did we end up doing?
We went to the UCLA game.
Oh, yeah, we went to a basketball game that
Basketball
day.
game.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you how that happened. It probably was already like gonna happen.
It was in the works, I'm sure.
It was in the works, but then it was like we were gonna rekindle. We were
It's
working
a lot of
it
on
out.
and off.
Yeah, we were working it out, and then it was like the plan was, all right, I'm gonna stay at your place. We're gonna hang out. And then tomorrow we'll do something for Valentine's Day, even if that just means like ordering in or whatever.
Yeah.
But we got into a fight that night. It lasted like the night, and then in the morning it was just like, all right, we're not doing this. We're calling it quits. And
blessing in disguise.
Yeah, and I was like, damn, it just so happens to be February 14th that we're going to break this off. This sucks.
Yeah, that just adds insult to injury. It just makes it a little worse.
Right. But I will say every Valentine's Day since then has been special because of my husband.
Yeah.
And so it's like that pales in comparison. We could do nothing but the fact that I have a good dude.
Yeah, you have a relationship
cool,
you love.
whatever.
A marriage.
February 14th, whatever. But give me some chocolate, though.
I haven't had a breakup on Valentine's Day, but I had a situationship end 2 days before Valentine's Day after my team lost the Super Bowl. It was like, man, you're really cutting me when I'm down.
Yeah. Actually, I
rough.
look forward to Super Bowl more than I do
Valentine's Day,
for
right?
February. Yeah, and then one of the homies, like her birthday is in February, so I look forward to her birthday and the Super Bowl more than I do Valentine's Day.
It's not a big deal for me.
But so do you know anyone, friends or family, who love this holiday?
No one is coming to mind, to be honest with you. There probably are people I don't really think about it.
Do any of us even like it?
Yeah.
Is it even a thing?
I don't know. I mean, like growing up, my mom would always do something for us. There's this candy and coffee shop that's like kind of old timey. It's like a staple in the city I grew up in. And they have like packaged gummies and stuff for every holiday. And so she would get us these little gummy hearts that like only came around at Valentine's Day, and they were so good. And I remember liking it as a kid, like giving the paper Valentine's with the candy. And I think there was some element growing up of like, I wonder if someone's going to reveal some crush they have on me.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah.
Was this a thing when you were in elementary school when you guys gave out each other Valentine's cards? And they'd have, different themes like Mickey Mouse or whatever. But like, was it a thing to see like who got the most?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because it used to be you could give them to whoever you wanted, and then it became like you have to give everyone.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah,
give
schools
everyone.
would dictate like you had to give everyone. I think that was like a little after my time at least.
I think our time.
And now I don't even know if they allow them. I'm not sure.
Oh right.
Yeah.
I don't know either.
It was PC
We don't
culture.
have kids, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I love that, like picking, okay, what cartoon is going to represent me, and
because like you'd have those
fill them out.
Valentine's Day cards that are perforated, and then you rip them apart, and then you have like 2 Mickey Mouses, 2 Goofies, 2 whatever, but you got to decide.
Who gets which one?
Yeah.
Honestly, those are probably my best Valentine's Day memories. Is just doing that. I want to go back
to doing that, but to friends.
Yeah. I actually have. This was years ago. I mentioned this on a different episode. One year I bought cards for you and 2 of our closest guy friends that I was going to send to you for Valentine's Day, and I just like never did it. So I still have them. Yours is a pizza shaped.
Well, you know what?
One of these years I'm going to give it to
This
you.
holiday happens every year, so you can use it at any point.
If I ever think about it,
Yeah.
I'll give it to you finally.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting though. I also can't think of anyone who looks forward to it and
That it's like especially
it's a huge
meaningful
thing.
to them.
It's more so conversations I might have with my friends is if someone's dating someone pretty
Yeah.
new and like it's more of a wait, should I get him something, not get him something, get her something, don't get her something, or like the aftermath of so-and-so didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest deal in an early relationship. Yeah.
Because when it's later and you've been together for years, you guys kind of decide together almost how
Yeah.
to make it special.
It
or
might
to
be date
avoid.
night
Or like, hey, this year, who cares? Let's not do anything.
let's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. There is a holiday that I celebrated when I lived in Spain, in the Catalonia region of Spain. I was in Barcelona, called Dia de Sant Jordi, so St. Jordi Day. And in English, it doesn't translate, but basically it's Book and Roses Day. So it's celebrated in April, similar concept to Valentine's Day, but the tradition is to give roses and a book. And I like that. It's like representative of love for, a partner or a person, or friendship,
Yeah.
But like the book part, you know me, I love my books.
Yeah.
So I like that tradition quite a bit.
Do you know what the origin of the book thing is?
It's actually like a blending of 2 different holidays, and there's like a whole myth. I looked into it as well, but it was a little convoluted. So
See, I like that. I think we might have talked about this in a previous episode. Maybe it was the holidays one, but when you mentioned your mom gave you guys heart-shaped gummies on Valentine's Day, I think that is a benefit and a amazing magical thing about even Valentine's Day or even this holiday that's commercialized. When you create your own tradition out of it, and that becomes your thing with your partner or whoever, your family.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm not like knocking it. It's interesting your relationship to it as a kid versus as an adult. I feel like as a kid, it was actually more about friends and family. Like I think in school, you'd make little Valentines for your parents and stuff. And it was more universal. And then as an adult, it's much more about like romance, which is interesting how that changes.
Is it about romance or is it about gifts?
Well, theoretically about romance, but it's about, acknowledging a romantic interest versus, I guess people celebrate Valentine's Day or whatever, but that's less common.
Yeah, you think so?
I think it's like a consolation celebration.
Yeah.
I think less people, their instinct, like, other holidays, Christmas, for example, you're anticipating getting stuff for your friends. I don't think people automatically think that.
True.
For Valentine's Day.
That just made me think of, in terms of financial cost, that even if you don't have a Valentine, you may still end up spending more that day or week because of the consolation. Like, for if you're single, and I know this was for me when I was single too. Some years I'd be fine. I'm like thriving. I love being single. But then some years you feel down.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
You're lonely. You wish you had a partner. Maybe you recently had, you had a partner, don't anymore. And it's those times where you're like, fuck it, Valentine's Day, I'm gonna go do something, or I'm gonna do something big for myself. I'm gonna go do something like spontaneous for myself, and that costs money.
Absolutely.
So there are costs all around this day, whether or not you celebrate it.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any other costs that we're missing? Financial, social, the conflict of your partner if you don't make the right move.
I think that's the big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of already know what might happen, but 20 cents?
20 cents.
20 cents is the segment of the show where both Lizzy and myself, Lissa, each get 60 seconds to give our 2 cents on today's topic, whether it is a net positive or a net negative to celebrate Valentine's Day. Where does 20 cents come from?
you get the opinion of 2 dimes.
2 dimes. All right. Liz, you are up first. Is Valentine's Day worth it?
Man, this is one of those times I wish we had a net neutral.
You just don't care.
Yeah, sure, but it's not a big deal. You know, I guess I'm net positive in the sense it's not hurting anyone. If you want to celebrate it, sure. I tend to do something small for the people in my life. So I guess why not net positive? But it's not a big priority to me.
All right. Net positive-ish.
Ish.
Is Liz's answer.
Yeah. Ish.
All right.
What about you, Lise?
For me, Valentine's Day, interestingly, has evolved over the years. I think I cared a lot before. I've had some years where I didn't care. I think now I'm kind of more in your boat, a little neutral. But I will say I'm going to lean positive. In terms of celebrating that specific day, I'm less concerned because, like I said, I don't like going out to those dinners and stuff. I'll wait till another day. But also one interesting thing about Alan and I, my husband, is our dating anniversary is on the 15th of July. And so every 15th, we make it a point to make it a date night. So like 15th is so close to the 14th that, come February, I'll just be like, nah, let's just go do something on the 15th. Yeah. So that said, I'll say net positive because I want to welcome all the gifts and blessings into my life every February 14th.
There you go. And if anyone wants to bring me a heart-shaped pizza or some tacos,
you will gladly accept.
Flowers, I love flowers.
Yeah.
I will gladly accept.
Yeah, so net positive.
Yeah.
One thing real quick before we end the episode that we didn't touch, though, was we talked about the commercialization, but also, I guess the waste that comes out of that.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That's a great point. That is a big cost.
Yeah, it's a big cost, not to us as individuals, I guess, but to
I think both, right? This is funny. I was thinking about this. I was looking for a prop, and obviously I had just bought myself flowers.
Yeah.
But I'm looking around my room, do I have anything I've received on Valentine's Day? And I'm like, no, all of those relationships are over. Why would I keep it? Yeah, you throw it away.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a temporary quality to some of this.
One quick side note, too, is I was looking for a prop to bring for this episode and couldn't find one. Yesterday, I was at Rite Aid. I was like, I'll get some Valentine's Day stuff because, I assumed they market 4 months in advance.
Yeah.
We had that issue with Halloween when we talked about
For
Halloween.
sure.
There was no Valentine's Day anything.
It's because Christmas is the super holiday, the holiday that dominates them all.
So then right after Christmas, we'll start
That's what
seeing
it is.
Okay, so I couldn't find it. Well, all right. Well, this is what we think right now at this moment in time. Both Liz and I are net positive, kind of net neutral, but net positive-ish for celebrating Valentine's Day. But no one can make that decision but you. What do you think? Is Valentine's Day worth it?
Hit us up. Let us know what you think. DM us on Instagram at NetNetPodcast or email us at hi@netnetpodcast.com. And if you want to follow us individually, here's where you can find us.
I'm at Wealth for Women of Color on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram.
You can follow me at live_well_Lizzy on Instagram and TikTok.
All references, statistics, and resources mentioned can be found in our show notes. This podcast is for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only and should not be constituted as financial advice. Remember to always do your own research, consult a professional as needed, and feel empowered to make your own damn decisions.